Hi, my name is Ilma and welcome to my channel. I've been posting Christian blogs almost 12 years next month. And Happy New Year is January 1, 2024 today. And I'd like to share to you Genesis 23 verses 1 to 9. And here's the word of God. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died at Kiriath-arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham went in to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham rose up from before his dead and said to the Hittites, I am a sojourner and foreigner among you. Give me property among you for burying place, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. The Hittites answered Abraham, Hear us, my Lord. You are a prince of God among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs. None of us will withhold from you his tomb to hinder you from burying your dead. Abraham rose and bowed to the Hittites, the people of the land. And he said to them, If you are willing that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat for me Ephron, the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns. It is at the end of his field. For the full price, let him give it to me in your presence as property for a burying place. Genesis 23, verses 1 to 9. Here's the poem I wrote inspired by those verses. Abraham's search for Sarah's grave. Sarah reached age 127 when she died. As sojourners, they have no place they can call their own. So Abraham went to the Hittites to ask them if they could bury her there. The Hittites responded well because they considered him a prince of God. Abraham was given the choice to select whichever is the best place to bury Sarah. And he chose the cave of Machpelah at the end of the field as her burial ground. Here's my essay. I cannot imagine the grief that Abraham felt when he lost Sarah. In our present day perspective, it is hard to comprehend how Abraham lived a life of no permanence. He was traveling from place to place with no permanent and comfortable home. Nowadays, we can prepare for the death of our loved ones by having funeral plans arranged for where our loved ones' bodies can rest. In his day, Abraham had to ask permission from where he was to be able to buy a plot to bury his beloved wife. He was totally dependent on God and where he was taking him next. Because of his integrity, the Hittites considered him as a prince of God amongst them, and he was blessed to pick whatever lot he desires to use for Sarah's grave. Reflection. Explain how being a foreigner is an advantage or not in the case of Abraham. If in the perspective of a servant of God, it is actually an advantage, because now if he is a sojourner or a traveler and he goes from one place to another without a permanent home, then he will not be attached to anything. And there were some years in my life that I lived that way. I never owned anything back in the Philippines, so we would just be renting apartments and studios and houses, me and my son. And I would say that my son had lived over, in his 16 years of life, he has probably lived over 12 or 15 places in those 16 years. So, in a way, I don't get attached. I wasn't able to get attached to those places that I live because I don't own them. And at the same time, it's easy for me to just go from one to another without really accumulating so much stuff. But even then, with those times that I stayed, I think the longest I stayed in a place was probably 5 or 6 years. But other than that, it's less than that. And even those 5 years, I was still able to accumulate stuff. And I think, in a way, I did not want to accumulate stuff. But at the same time, when I moved to Canada, now I have a home of our own that we could call our own, because my husband had this before I married him. So I feel that we can be very comfortable. In a way, it's a disadvantage if you are a Christian, because that permanence could be linked to an attachment of something. Like, we are attached to our relatives, to our loved ones, but if for one reason God takes them away from us, how are we going to respond to that? So I think in this matter, Abraham, in the perspective of godly, in the godly perspective, has an advantage, because he owns so much flock and herd, and it would have been very hard for him to have a permanent place, because where is he going to put all of these things that he had? So in a way, it's an advantage, because wherever he went, he enriched the people, or the place that he brings all his property and stuff. So because he is a follower of God, obedient to the Lord, he is blessed with anything that he needed. And God showed his faithfulness by allowing the Hittites to just choose whichever tomb he wants for Sarah. Thanks for watching. I hope you check my website at ILMA'S.com for artworks, photographs, and a copy of this blog. Please subscribe to my channel on YouTube so I could make more videos and give you the Word of God. And I want to greet you all a blessed year. And I hope that this will be a year for the Lord for you, that you will grow and mature in your faith, and that you will long more for the Word of God each and every day, and that you will be able to obey and live a life to serve the Lord. Thanks for watching.